Hello, this is Christina Barn. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barn. Today, we're going to be talking about BLM and some very disturbing imagery that they put out, and some people were very upset about it, even people who supported them in the past, and which particularly BLM Chicago, one particular image that we're going to talk about, which they deleted it and said they weren't proud of their image, but still basically supports the same kind of premise. So we'll be talking about that, but they've been intertwined with, I don't know, it's not news to me. Maybe it's not news to you guys. It's news to some people. So we're going to walk through their sort of ideology that's been evident for a while. I've been warning people about BLM, and they're just revealing their true face on a lot of matters. So, we'll be talking about that. Also, continue to talk about the war that's going on in the Middle East and Israel and Gaza, and some pretty wild comments have been coming from some people regarding the war and Israel and the conflict, and more heartbreaking things just continue to come out. And I talked yesterday how I was baffled with the response. Some people responded to me today and left me some left me more baffled. Some people basically said some pretty offensive things. And so if we have time, I'll go into it. We talked the other day about how Harvard, a lot of different organizations decided that they would come together and basically lay the blame at Israel. So I think townhall.com decided to go on the hunt to name some of these kids. And so people started to pull their name from the signed letter, because different employers were asking who's on these lists, because of course they don't want to hire, people who are not condemning these terrorist attacks. I mean, it's might as well, put a swastika on your resume, I guess. But we'll be getting to all those things today. Before we jump into it, I encourage you guys to go to blacktenews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktenews.com/donate. Costs of streaming, costs to run my website. I'm actually in studio today because I wanted to say something, talk on a clearer camera, and mine is still out at home. So if you guys want to help support in that way, there's different equipment needs and other things that I need to get. So if you can support, again, you go to the website and do that. You guys can give super chats and super thanks for watching on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, you guys can send stars. If there's different comments and stuff you guys want to, I know people send messages on different media platforms, and I'm like running my socials myself. There's not a Black Tea group really. So I'm not always great about getting to all the different messages across the different platforms. Particularly, I know people like to use Instagram. I'm rarely on my Instagram, but if you go and you have something important to say or whatever, if you go to the website and leave it in the contact or something, that's a good way to say it. I'm on Twitter all the time, though. That's a good way to reach out. Just FYI. On YouTube, I know a lot of people leave comments. I don't get notified every time there's a comment, maybe in my inbox, in a filtered inbox I do or something. But I don't see every notification. They don't tell me every notification. And after a while, if a video goes viral or something, at that point in time, I can't keep up with all the comments. So I appreciate everyone who has something to say, something to add to the conversation. People who want to reach out. I thank you. I hear you. I'm trying to hear you anyway. And I just thank you for being part of the journey. Everyone who's helped along the way, people who supported, people who continue to watch, people who watch live, people, who are watching live right now, watching back, people who are in the comments, etc. I just thank you. Um, Also, if you like what we got at the website, we got some merch. I had on my "Is this a victim you're looking for" shirt, and I did some TikToks on it. People are like, "I love that shirt." I'm like, it's on my website. So go ahead and get that at the website blacktnews.com. I actually made this after the whole Gina Carano situation when she got fired. Like, was it 2 years ago now? If you aren't familiar with what I'm talking about, there's a video on my website. Well, you can find it on my website. But you guys can just go on my YouTube and find it. Got black tea mugs and other stuff you guys can check out for purchasing. Make sure you guys are also looking at some of my books as well. Like my book, of course, God is blatantly against abortion. It's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. It covers rights and science. It covers politics. It covers philosophy and all sorts of different things. So if you're interested or looking for a way to sharpen your skills or you would like to be challenged, I encourage you guys to check out that book and get it for yourself, get it for someone you know. And I do have a lot of I'm sorry, that's the nonfiction book. I have a lot of fiction books you guys can read, historical fiction, fantasy, children's, middle grade chapter books. I write all kinds of different things. So just search my name, Christina Olbar, Christina with CH, on Amazon and follow me there. Or you guys can, if you go to blacktnews.com, go to the merchandise page. There's a banner at the top with my books and stuff on it. It'll take you to my book website. So that's the easiest way to find everything. So, um, thank you guys for being interested in checking that stuff out. So anyway, let's hop to it. I do have a meme to start things off. So um, bear with me as I pull it up. And I bookmarked it on Twitter. The other day, someone had there was an activist who liked a comment that was pretty egregious, and so someone I follow like pointed to it to like, aha, like this person like this thing, which I didn't doubt that they supported that evil thing, but I just pointed out like things that I like things, they're not necessarily endorsing that idea. A lot of times I like things to in a way that you would use bookmarks, but if I like it real quick, that's because I'm probably going to write about real quick, or I'm going to reference it in today's show or something. And if I bookmark something, I plan that's something that I may come back to. Like I bookmarked things that I referenced in my book or something, and so I wanted that like stamped in time somewhere. So I thought the person I didn't know much about them. I didn't doubt that they probably had bad intentions or whatever, but I'm just like I use a like button sometimes, kind of like a bookmark, and so many people were like, you don't know how to Twitter, right, etc. Blah, blah. I'm like, I know people use the like button the same way. I would if people are like, you better mark this for future reference, and I'm like, maybe I will, because I would hate for people to judge me based off of my like thing, because I actually liked that comment. But I liked a quote tweet of it, because I wanted to talk about it in the future. So anyway, sorry for the side note. It just came to mind as I was talking about it. Um, so it's not in my right book, and this is why I just like things. It's not in my right bookmark folder that I put it in. Let me just go to all. Sorry. And it's not there. That's why I just go to my likes. Bear with me. Um anyway, it's regarding the BLM stuff. And someone it was here we go. Found it. In my likes. In my likes and not my bookmarks. And you might be saying, because she doesn't know how to Twitter right. I've been twittering for a long time, and it's not Twitter anymore, but I will keep saying that. So here we go. Hey dude, why do you always wear that mask? It's BLM mask. Remove it. Oh, Nazi mask. Oh, look at that. Um, yeah. And there are rallies or with people, or I guess pro Hamas slash Palestinian things where people are like raising Nazi symbols and stuff. Hamas is a terrorist organization. They committed terrible terrorist attacks on this past weekend. People have been doing a lot of whataboutism, I don't know, minimizing, pointing the finger, saying it's there, it's Israel's fault that all these things happen. I'm still waiting for someone to explain what warranted the rapes, the burning of whole families, shooting babies in the head, decapitating them. Like what is the like actions that were justifiable that made this mirror response happen? I haven't seen it. I'm not aware of it. If I'm ignorant of it, I apologize. And people have been saying they've been doing these things for years. If they've been kidnapping lots of children for years, I've missed that. Let me know in the comments. I'm sorry. I apologize for being so ignorant on the matter. But feel free to let me know. And once you let me know, I promise you, I will condemn them because it's evil and it's that simple to do. It's that simple to do. But BLM had other ideas. So BLM Chicago thought it would be great, would be grand, if they posted a really egregious image. So BLM Chicago, which they've deleted this comment, they've deleted it after backlash, lots of backlash, but still not good enough. Really, still not good enough. So, just a little background here so you understand what's going on is that at the music festival, you had Hamas coming in on paragliders. So, this isn't just a typical we support Palestine, we, whatever, that's their land or we want them to be free or whatever. They're highlighting this image of these Hamas people coming in to the music festival and then gunning down these civilians and also kidnapping people, raping people. So that's what they specifically, intentionally decided to highlight. And I did a TikTok video about this. I posted it this morning, and someone who follows me, and I see them like my stuff often, and I assume like they probably like a lot of my I don't know, pro life content. I don't know, because I that's what I post a lot about on there. I don't know why exactly why they follow me, but they started questioning me like, what are you gonna say about Israel? Like I'm I'm specifically talking about BLM celebrating, saying we stand with Palestine. They are signing on to this particular tactic that they use to not kill soldiers, to kill civilians. And they threw out the whataboutism game. And and people start going back and forth with them in the comments. And then they justified it with, well, when people are oppressed, they get desperate and they do things. To which I replied, what, they rape and they kidnap people and they kill kids. And then they did a video reply to me. And essentially, because I said there's a difference between desperate people and evil people. Desperate people don't necessarily do evil things. Desperate people may choose. You always have a choice to do the right thing. You always have a choice to do the right thing. And they took my comment as a this is an example of people just trying to tear each other apart and put people down, etc. And I have to respond to that more fully later. It happened like right before I left for the studio, so I was stewing on it. So one of the reasons why I'm sharing. Um, but I don't understand how that evolved from there. And I don't know why it's just hard to say, yeah, that's really messed up what BLM did. And it's really messed up, beyond messed up, what Hamas did. And I I don't see a moral equivalency between the groups when Hamas literally, this is no exaggeration, wants to wipe out the Jews. It's like in their charter. Do people know that? So and I'm not some kind of huge foreign policy expert. I've never been to the region, or anything like that. So I'm not gonna lay down, to fight to the death, metaphorically, I mean, or verbally, on like every policy that Israel does, etc. I'm not gonna do that. But again, you have to like show me like the in some kind of equivalency here. And I just don't see it. I just don't see, I'm not aware of it. And I doubt it's there. I doubt it's there. But even if, again, if you showed me, I would just condemn it. I would just condemn it. It's not hard. This paratrooper thing is disgusting. So they did apologize ish kind of for it. Which you could take it for what it's worth, but I don't think it's you can take it for much, because they still feel the same way. They just probably didn't like or appreciate the backlash, because you had people who were on the left who were like, "Oh my gosh, this is too crazy. This is insane." Yesterday, we sent out our messages that a message that we aren't proud of. We stand with Palestine and the people who will do what they must to live free. Um, our hearts are with the grieving mothers, those rescuing babies from rubble who are in danger of being wiped out completely. So, um, you're not proud of what? Like, can you be more specific? Like, it's wrong for people to paraglide into concerts and to just mow down civilians. Like, could you be a little more specific? A little more specific? Because at the end of the day, a lot of these people stand with that sort of violence. Again, that the comment that person gave me, replied to me, and I mentioned rapes and murders and people killing babies. And the reply was, oppressed people get desperate and do things or whatever. Do you know a group who's one of the most, if not the most, like oppressed group in the world? What about Christians? Not in here in the US, but around the world, particularly in communist countries and Muslim countries. Christians face tremendous oppression and persecution and risk their lives following their calling, spreading the gospel, following the Great Commission. And it's not new, it's something that Christ warned about. The oppression of Christians immediately is how the church spread and continues to spread. And I'm not saying there's not times where, I mean, you could talk about crusades and stuff like that, but mostly people just dig down and get closer to their faith. There's a tremendous book called Tortured for Christ. There's a movie. I haven't seen the movie. People have recommended and stuff, but I don't know if it'll be good or not, but Christian films aren't usually all that. But the book is Really, really challenging. And really challenging because you're like, I love God, and oh my gosh, I love God more after reading this, but man, these people really like, are you at that level? Because it just went through so many terrible things that Christians went through while being persecuted under communist regimes. And it really makes you concerned about the rise of communism everywhere, including how it's trying to take root here in the US. Because the goal is to water down Christianity, to compromise with it, and those who won't compromise, then you crush them. So look for the warning signs. But it's tremendous how people continue to persevere through their faith. I haven't read the. I mean, it's been some time since I read the book. Maybe I'll have to get another one and read through it, and I don't know, just talk about it a bit more. But I guess I'll check out the movie and tell you guys how it is. But um, my point in mentioning them is that here are some people who are oppressed, and they don't get desperate for violence, even though violence is done to them, and they're tortured in prisons. The guy who wrote the book, he's only free. He was only free because they smuggled him out of there and paid his release. So even though these people, great violence was committed against them, they clung deeper into their faith, and their goal wasn't to, hey, let me go, I don't know, kill someone, rape someone. That's not what they moved to. They even ministered and forgave and converted the prison guards and other people who brutally tortured them. And I'm not saying everybody's got to go that route, but the idea that just this is how oppressed people act, and we just, it's the cry of the unheard, and that's why we got to let BLM burn down cities and loot crap. That's those are excuses for evil behavior. You always have a choice. You always have a choice. There's a movie, Cinderella Man. I can't remember the name of the boxer, but Russell Crowe played the boxer, and it was, in the Great Depression, and his kids stole some food, and he was like, no matter how things bad things get, he's like, this is, we're not going to do this. Like, he made it a moral point. Like, we are not going to do something immoral, even though our situation is desperate. And it's a really good film. Russell Crowe and Renee Zellweger, is that her? She was in Chicago. She played his wife. Really good film. There, there have been times, you know, when my family's faced rest situations, nothing to the degree of anything that we're talking about or describing or whatever, but you still have a choice to continuously do the right thing in hard circumstances. And that's how you figure out what kind of person you are. That's how you figure out what kind of values that you're sticking with, who, who you really are. If you're the person who's going to rob a Walmart or something, you need to recheck yourself, recheck your morals and your values. And that's something I 2020 or today, seeing these mobs of people going and stealing stuff. BLM activists will be in the street saying, if you need a Gucci and you want to rob to feed your families, then you do that. Like, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Because I watch that, all that stuff happen. I'm like, how dare they embarrass their parents like that? How dare they embarrass their grandmothers? They weren't raised right. Like, that's what's going in my head. I would never dishonor my family in such a way. Because I was raised different, I guess. Because I was raised different. So don't you tell me that people are just so oppressed that they have to react in that kind of way. But BLM Chicago also shared something else um, to their feed on. Let me make that a little bigger. But surely there are other non-violent methods Palestinians could use. Stop telling Palestinians how to I think this says react. This little thing's in the way. South Africans didn't liberate itself from apartheid non-violently. Algeria didn't, and French colonization of their country non-violent. Algeria didn't end the French colonization of their country non-violently. You are not telling Ukrainians to use non-violence in Russia. Palestinians have a legal right to resist. That's what they are telling people. That is what they are telling people. And that is what many people feel. These activists. And that's how they felt in 2020 when they're doing all these violent things, when they're committing arson. People died in those riots as well. And they're stealing stuff. And if you said something about it negatively, people said you care about things more than you care about Black lives. They would come at you for expecting people to not act like criminals, to not act like animals, to act like they had any sort of home training, any sort of common sense, any sort of dignity. But the riot is a cry of the unheard. We heard that all the time. They expect people to just resist. The sort of things aren't happening. Isn't just resisting. It's not responding to soldiers in your area or something like that. Purposely attacking civilians. And I know in Palestine, or in Gaza rather, there are people, civilians dying. And that's because Hamas uses human shields. It's because they like headquarter in hospitals. It's because in hospitals, in schools, in residential areas. They tell civilians not to evacuate. There are instances where Israel, whatever, wanted to knock down. This is like in the past, isn't recently, but wanted to. They're like, hey, we're gonna knock down this building. They call like get people out, and they're like, we don't want to. And they're like, but there are kids in the building. Like, yeah, it'll make you look bad. Like, they think all of these people are martyrs. They think it's good to die. So what do you do with that? But this is what they support. And you know what? It's not new information. And you can say it's just Chicago. Well, let's hop back in a time machine. Remember Patrisse Cullors, one of the co-founders, who said she was a trained Marxist? I do. She voiced her opinion.
The other thing I'll say is Palestine is our generation South Africa. And if we don't step up boldly and courageously to end the imperialist project that's called Israel, we're doomed. And I think that I had learned about Palestine for a long time. I had known about it, been wanting to travel, and I was really, really grateful when the Dream Defenders asked me to come on the delegation. But nothing would have prepared me for the level of militarization and the level of violence that we would witness those 10 days inside of Palestine. Nothing would have prepared me for the ways in which we witness people's terror. People live in terror on a daily basis. And nothing would have prepared me for how much clarity I would have on why we have to be a part of Palestinian solidarity.
So they compare it to South Africa, and they will call Israel an apartheid state, which Africa did have an South Africa did have apartheid state. We have this minority of people who use different laws to make like an all-white government. Israel is not that. Like I don't doubt there's discrimination and other things. Like I don't remember if I mentioned this on the show, but there was a video that was awful. I know I had retweeted it. And I was glad people like Ben Shapiro spoke out against it. But there was a woman who was a Christian who was, and I don't know how, much she was there trying to convert people or how aggressive what she was. Um, but there were boys who were like kicking her and hitting her and other things like that and spitting on her and other stuff like that, and they like kind of ran her off, and um really not appropriate. Pretty disgusting. So I'm saying there's not discrimination or other things like that, but there's Arabs in the Supreme Court. There's Arabs in who are legislators. There's like 20% of the government, right? Sorry, those numbers are wrong, but they have f- laws and free press and all sorts of things to protect the rights of everyone. It's not like in Gaza when they really don't like Jews. Like that there if you want to talk about apartheid state, it's more like Gaza and what Hamas not even what Hamas wants. Hamas just wants it wiped out. So it's interesting how many people talk about apartheid and they want to talk about Israel, but they support Palestine who elected Hamas, who's a terrorist organization. Um here's another thing from a Black Lives Matter grassroots. Um, Black Lives Matter grassroots stand in solidarity with our Palestinian family who are currently resisting 57 years of settler colonization and apartheid as Black people continue to fight to end militarization and mass incarceration in our own communities. Let us understand the resistance in Palestine as an attempt to tear down the gates of the world's largest open air prison as a radical Black organization grounded in the abolitionist ideas. We see clear parallels between Black and Palestinian lives and do they mean abolitions of prisons? Because I don't they definitely don't mean abolition of abortion and other things like that. But we too understand what it means to be surveilled, dehumanized, property seized, families separated, our people criminalized and slaughtered with impunity, locked up in droves. And when we resist, they call us terrorists. We too dream of a world where our people may live freely on decolonized land. I mean, may the borders and checkpoints, prisons, police, and watch lists that terrorize our communities crumble, and may the world we build from their ashes honor those who have fallen in struggle. Um, Writing's always been on the wall. um, Someone I got into a big debate with someone, well, I guess argument on Twitter. Back when it was Twitter. I'm still gonna call it Twitter because X is stupid. I'm sorry, Elon. But people were telling me that BLM should strategically go to different areas to do the riots and other things like that. And I'm like, oh, so terrorism. And like, that's not terrorism. It was like, um, you're doing all these acts of terror for a political purpose. I'm like, yeah, sure, that's absolutely terrorism. Um, yeah, it's terrorism. um, I have said that BLM is a domestic terror organization, and many people have said that as well. It's definitely, even if you don't want to go that far, it's definitely not a good group for Americans, for particularly Black America. If you went to their What We Believe page, they didn't talk about uplifting Black families. They didn't talk about uplifting the Black father. Seemed that they only cared about Black men who who believe they were women, who were trans. The only man that they cared about, it seemed like. And they said they wanted to dismantle cisgender privilege and disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family. A lot of this is about destroying Western civilization, Western ideas, Western culture. And when I mentioned this yesterday, but Benjamin Netanyahu's father, when he talked to Eisenhower and pitched why America should support Israel, they're like, we will be a beacon of Western values. And a lot of this is that's why they're doing these things, or they're allied here. And there was a rally yesterday in Dearborn, and Dearborn is a city in Michigan, and it's in Rashida Tlaib's district. She's part of the squad. Rashida, had a very it's Israel's kind of fault that everything that happened kind of message. We talked about that maybe I think on Monday, but if you're wondering who elects her, a lot of those people do. So, and I don't anticipate that changing too often, I guess, or very often. You can try. I think we should try, but she might be there as long as she wants to be, unfortunately. But there some things were said there that I found kind of disturbing. But one thing they did note is that at BLM rallies, they, have signs that say, at BLM rallies, they have the Palestinian flags, and they claimed at white supremacist rallies they have the Israeli flags. That's what they said. And they also were chanting, from the river to the sea, line that they say. And then they also went to no justice, no peace.
Palestine will be free. Louder. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace. The Arab stop. The Arab.
Free, free Palestine. I want to hear that drum. Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
They said, the American government said what happened last Saturday was unprovoked. We don't want to be violent. We are not violent people. We are full of love. But when you have 75 years of ethnic cleansing, 56 years of occupation, 15 years of a blockade, that means nothing is unprovoked in Palestine. They have to understand. That's why we are frustrated here today.
We're peaceful people. But just condemn what happened, bruh. Again, it's not hard. It's not hard. It's not hard. It shouldn't be. I have seen, I keep hearing rhetoric like that, but you're gonna have to do a lot of work to convince me why it was okay to rape those women and gun down those people at the festival and shoot babies in the head. And by the way, I played a video yesterday of a reporter talking about how there was a site, there was like 40 babies dead, or beheaded or whatever. And this was a big debate. It's been, and I said it had been confirmed by multiple people before. It's been confirmed by more people since then. But the number isn't necessarily that 40 babies were beheaded, but there were children who were beheaded, including babies. But there were about 40 kids who were dead. So, or 40 babies who were dead. Again, purposely targeted people going in people's homes. Do you agree with BLM and how we can't tell them how to respond and lecture them about how they resist? Is that just the proper way to resist? To kidnap women? There's a video Ben Shapiro posted, I think I retweeted it, of a captured Hamas fighter. And they asked, like, why did you kidnap these women and children? He said to defile them. So when you say we're peaceful people, but and he said nothing is unprovoked when yada 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 yada. So it was warranted if it wasn't provoked. Is that what it is? Stop. Just stop. Jake Tapper, this is a quick clip, but he noted that there's, on the left, there's seems to be some anti-Semitism.
These last few days have been a real eye-opening period for a lot of people, a lot of Democrats, a lot of progressives, in terms of anti-Semitism on the left. A lot of people who seem more shocked at dehumanizing language used by world leaders to describe Hamas than what Hamas actually perpetrated on Saturday.
So I'm sorry that was. I should have tried to find a longer clip for my curiosity, because that Alyssa Slotkin is running for Senate, and I obviously don't want her to win. I just don't know who her opponent's going to be. I mean, I'm going to vote for her opponent because they're going to be Republican or whatever, and there's a couple names that are out there, but I just hope they're ready to take her down. But of course, there's anti-Semitism on the left. Of course. Of course. What about the squad? What about many people who support the squad? There's a lot of goofy people who are in big BLM or go to these places who are anti-Semitic. You can, of course, find that on the left. Of course you can. But Scott Wiener, who is the pervert from California who keeps making different LGBT laws and stuff, he was mortified by some of the BLM stuff, and so people are pointing out like him being in support of BLM, and when they're putting like different BLM crosswalks and whatever, and so he posted another comment that said something like, "Oh, all these people on the right who are pretending to be pro, Jew, they're just doing this now," but I know so many people within the Republican Party, obviously. Don't know everybody. I can tell you it's a very, very pro-Israel group. It's a very, very pro-Israel group. Now, there have been some people on the right that people have been running into, that I've been running into, that Ben's been running into, and Dan Bongino had a post that I think it's maybe the last thing he tweeted, at least the last time I saw, that he's like, some of you are just gonna have to unfollow me because I'm not gonna stop supporting Israel, and you guys have different opinions. I'm paraphrasing what he said. So people are running into that, and to be honest, it just seems like a lot of that is from like the populist sort of movement. A lot of people who back Trump, and that's not all the people back Trump, because a lot of people back Trump, but usually there's people with his avatar who are saying stuff. So just throwing that out there. And just because you don't support I don't know, all the things that Israel does doesn't make you anti-Semitic. But there's some people who hate Ben, and he was like the number one target of anti-Semitism in online in 2015 or 16 or something. So there's it's out there on both sides, but I think it's pretty obvious, at least for my observations, being involved more profoundly on the left. So I'm not gonna give Jake Tapper credit for just opening his eyes today or yesterday. He's a freaking journalist. Of course I don't know, but it's crazy that all these people are like pro BLM, etc. Just have your way, but you didn't really look into what they believed. You did, and you just supported them. You uplift them because I don't know, they're brown or whatever. But obviously, they're supporting garbage, and a lot of people got caught up on the hashtags. And they blot out their profiles, black squares, etc. I get it. I didn't like it. Every time I saw one, I'm sure my friends thought I was annoying because I commented a lot. I picked a lot of fights over it. Because I knew them, because I researched them like basically from their inception. So I'm glad more people are seeing. Let me move on. I want to play this other clip that I have here from the Dearborn rally. They said Hamas weren't terrorists.
But first we have to put things in perspective in here. Please listen. We are not going to be intimidated by stay silent when they say Hamas is a terrorist organization. The fact it is not a terrorist organization. And we have to say to them, the terrorist is Benjamin Netanyahu and his government. And not only Benjamin Netanyahu and his government, but everyone that stands behind him and support him killing people in Palestine. We are not afraid to say it. You know why? Because it is the truth. And we have to say it because we are responsible before God and before those who have fallen in Palestine, not only in the last 3 days, but from 75 years ago.
Yeah, you know, on Ben's show, he posted a video of and you can find this around, of different people within Hamas talking about killing Jews. Again, it's in their charter. They don't want a two-state solution. They want a permanent one. When people say, you know, they want to free Palestine and they want to end the occupation, which Israel's not in Gaza, by the way. That occupation ended in pulled out what 2005, 6, something like that. So are you talking about like the rest of Israel? What are you talking about? You know, I've seen people like point to old maps. They're like, oh, it says Palestine. They've been here for a long time. What the heck are you guys talking about? It's their land, etc. Like, the Jews have been connected to the land for over 3,000 years, going back, you know, biblical times. They lost that land. They got it back through long, hard process. They were attacked as soon as their nation was formed, ganged up by all these Arab nations and stuff, and they defended the land, gained more land, and gained land, made concessions, etc. But they've done a lot throughout the years to try to quell the bloodshed. You know, I'm not saying they aren't participants in this long and bloody conflict, but it, one side wants, you know, annihilation, the other wants to live. So I just don't see the equivalence here, guys. I'm not saying that all people who consider themselves Palestinians and stuff feel that way. But they did elect Hamas, and that is how Hamas feels. And Hamas, they said they weren't terrorists, and you heard the cheers. You heard those cheers. So I found that really disturbing. Dearborn is not that far. It's just kind of amazing that so many people feel that way. It's incredible. I want to address a comment that someone had left on one of my videos, because I don't know, it sounds really conspiratorial. I mean, it is really conspiratorial, and it was long, and I was basically out driving and stuff when I saw it, and I didn't want to type out a long reply, but essentially they thought that it was planned by Israel and that we should stay out of it. So I'm just going to go through it and tell you my thoughts. I don't agree with anything about the situation at all. Hear me out. I am not defending the atrocities, nor do I condone attacks on civilians from either side. My position is that this is extremely complicated, and I think the U.S. should stay out of it completely, and that there is more to this than meets the eye. I'm reasonably certain that Israel allowed the attack on their people specifically so that they could justify genocide of the Palestinians. I do not believe that all of their intelligence and all of their normal security measures all failed at the same time. They run the best intelligence in the world and were allegedly directly informed of an imminent attack. On the other hand, the Palestinians are in an impossible situation because they are trapped and they cannot leave. They cannot protest nonviolently or they will be shot. And everyone just basically ignores the Israeli people, basically stuck an entire country into a concentration camp for generations. This does not justify the killing of innocents, but they have been left only this path and no other. It appears that this too was on purpose. On the third hand, I see other nations readying for war. If Israel chooses to defend itself, I ask this: was Israel set up by the nations around them? Were they lobbed as an easy pitch, intelligence-wise, that is, where they could either repel a skirmish easily or stand by and let an atrocity be committed so that they could have an excuse for genocide? Did other nations assist in the preparation for this event because they knew that Israel would choose the option that would give them the ability to commit genocide? In that case, everyone involved is in the wrong. Evil begets evil. I see nothing but evil here on all sides. I wish I could see a good permanent solution for long-term peace and prosperity for all parties. Um, I'm going to start by saying I can respect a healthy distrust of the government. And I think there's reasons for people to be conspiratorial at times. I don't think this is perhaps quite one of those situations. Why would it be easier to believe that Israel allowed more than 1,000 of their people to die, thousands to be injured, babies to be kidnapped, women to be raped, people civilians to be gunned down, people burned alive, babies shot in the face? Um, why is it easier to believe that Israel allowed that after everything that they've gone through as a people, rather than Hamas was helped by Iran and they were able to get through their defenses with sophisticated technology and measures that help them be able to take down like their border wall with sophisticated sort of hacking with different drones and bulldozers, etc., which they attacked on a holy day where they knew that there would be limited sort of resistance. Like, and I get that they have, a lot of intelligence and their security is pretty phenomenal. However, things can still happen. And there's a video that I'm going to show you guys. And apparently, they've been planning it for 2 years and have kept it on the hush hush. And very few people were aware of it. So I I think you have a high threshold to cross to say that they allowed so many people of their to die so they could commit a genocide. For what reason, for what gain for them in the end, when so much would be at risk? I mean, they go in there. I don't know if there was word or rumors, or I don't know if this wasn't confirmed, at least when I saw it at the time, whether Hezbollah has jumped in or not. Um, but they start jumping in, and Israel gets attacked from other nations, other stuff like that. The Iron Dome, it becomes more vulnerable. There's just a lot at risk. It, you know, um, it's a big gamble. So it just seems like a big sort of leap. Or you could, I don't know, trust that the people wants to wipe them out, had a long-term plan, and executed it. And it just seems more reasonable to believe to me. Um, but people will believe what they want to believe. But here's an interesting video
أن ساعة الصفر كانت سرية للغاية.
I wrote
عدد محدود من قيادة حماس يعرف أقل من أن ساعة الصفر كانت سرية للغاية. عدد محدود من قيادة حماس يعرف أقل من أصابع اليد الذين كانوا يعرفون عن العملية وتوقيتها. وحماس سلوكها في السنتين الماضيات انه عقلاني وما بتدخل في حروب وما وقفت مع الجهاد الاسلامي في معركته السابقه.
لكن هاي كانت ضمن استراتيجيه
طبعا
من اجل تحضير
انه
هذه
حماس
العملية.
مشغوله بالحكومه في غزه وبدها تدير بالها على 2.5 مليون فلسطيني وملتهيه وخلص تركت المقاومه. لكن حماس من تحت الطاوله كانت تحضر لهذه العمليه الكبيره. وصواريخ المقاومه اليوم بتغطي كل فلسطين. وين بده ياخذهم؟ على تل ابيب؟ ما احنا من اليوم الاول قصفنا تل ابيب. بده ياخذهم على الجليل؟ الجبهه الشماليه انفتحت اليوم مع لبنان، يعني ليست آمن الجليل الآن للعدو الصهيوني، ونحن قادرون أن نقصف الجليل من فلسطين المحتلة. لسرية المعركة ولنجاح ساعة الصفر ما كان حد يعرف من الفصائل، وحتى الحلفاء ما كانوا يعرفوا ساعة الصفر، لكن بعد نصف ساعة جرى اتصال مع كافة فصائل المقاومة الفلسطينية ومع حلفائنا في حزب الله في إيران. تم تبليغهم، الأتراك تم تبليغهم، صار لقاء معهم بعد 3 ساعات، يعني 9 صباحا. وكذلك كل من اتصل بنا وضعناه بالصورة. حتى الروس أرسلوا رسالة واستفسروا كذلك، تم وضعهم بالموقف وبأهداف المعركة.
في معتقلين فلسطينيين ايضا خارج اسرائيل في دول اوروبيه.
في معتقلين في امريكا
كمان
بدنا اياهم طبعا. في عندنا من حماس معتقلين في امريكا ومحكومين مؤبدات، كمان بدنا اياهم طبعا. نطالب امريكا ان تفرج عن ابنائنا اللي في سجونها. وامريكا عم بتعمل تبادل، عملت مع ايران قبل مده قريبه تبادل، ليش ما تعمل معنا تبادل؟ ما هي شريكه في هذه المعركه. اعلن بايدن، اعلى سلطه في امريكا، اعلن وقوفه مع اسرائيل ضد حماس، ضد الشعب الفلسطيني. لذلك هو شريك في العدوان، عليه ايضا ان يدفع الثمن. الإسرائيلي معروف عنه أنه بحب الحياة. إحنا بنضحي، نعتبر أنه قتلانا شهداء. فأمنا يعني أهم أمنية عند أي واحد فلسطيني أنه يستشهد في سبيل الله
يعني
دفاعا عن أرضه. ومحضرين حالنا، إلنا 2 عم نحضر ومنرتب وصنعنا كتير، وعندنا مصانع كل شيء. عندنا من صواريخ 250 كيلو ل 160 كيلو ل 80 كيلو ل 45 كيلو ل 10 كيلو. عندنا مصانع هاونات وقذائفها، مصانع بسفن وقذائفها، مصانع بيتن وقذائفها، مصانع كلاشينكوف ورصاصته. رصاصة كلاشينكوف عم نصنعها بالإذن من الروس، عم نصنعها في غزة. صرنا حلفائنا اليوم، احنا اللي بدعمنا بالمال والسلاح بشكل رئيسي إيران، بتعطينا مال وسلاح، هذا أكيد. حزب الله، في عنا شعوب عربية وإسلامية واقفة معنا، في عنا دول تؤيدنا بالموقف السياسي. حتى الروسي اليوم متعاطف معنا، حتى الروسي يعني أرسل رسائل صباح أمس في تعاطف، ويعني سعيد أن تربك أمريكا في فلسطين. تعرف بتخفف عنه الضغط في أوكرانيا، لأنه معركة بتخفف عن معركة. فلذلك إحنا لسنا وحدنا في الميدان.
So, um, I even if some governments and stuff are warned about some attacks and things happen, sometimes it's the truth is that people blunder, and people should be held accountable for those blunders. Um, I think about, I mean, BB's not Joe, but think about how dumb things happen because of U.S. intelligence or people in charge making crazy decisions. So it is the truth that sometimes things can fall through the cracks, or you hear something and you don't think it's credible, or you think you can prepare or whatever. But the expecting people to paratroop in and other stuff like that, or the kind of sophisticated technology or whatever they use to get past the defenses, I guess they weren't ready for it. And you can believe like, oh no, they had to be ready for it. It's a conspiracy. That it's a way bigger leap, I think, to think that they were willing to do that to their people to wipe out the Palestinians. Or for what? For what? For what? Like they could just wait a little bit on a real attack if that were the case. um, or different attack. They didn't have to. It's bound to happen again, and it's. I just don't understand that comment or that way of thinking. It's just a huge leap. It's really a huge leap. Um, and I don't understand people who don't want America involved at all. From my understanding, we haven't promised what Israel hasn't said. We need X amount of troops, boots on the ground, or whatever. To my understanding, um, they're very determined to fight, but they are our ally. They are our ally, a very strong ally. So I understand people don't want to get involved in forever wars and whatnot. They don't want to be the police chiefs of the world. I get that, but again, they are our allies. They are a democracy in the Middle East, and again, they wanted to be a beacon of Western values and such. We have had more than 20 Americans who were killed. We have some that are kidnapped. And from my understanding, they're trying to at least help and coordinate with them a bit with that, with some specialists. But people are seem so angry about involvement right now. I'm like, what is happening right now that you're angry about? Which Biden got a lot of praise yesterday for his speech. I didn't get a chance to listen to it. People, well, people on the right always want to criticize Joe, and people they don't like. Both sides always look for something to critique. The criticism I heard is that he didn't really go after Iran and call them out and stuff, but the praise was that he was very strong in the support of our ally, and they are. And the sort of things that happened were crazy to them. So, I do you not when you say you don't want us involved at all? Is that you want us to not give any sort of aid for their military defense and um, the Iron Dome, which prevents obviously many deaths because they rocket in stuff to kill civilians all the time? Is that really what you want? When people say no, what do they mean? Do they just mean they themselves don't want to go and fight the war? I don't even know if people know what all that they're asking for. I I don't know what to tell you guys. I do think it's in poor taste to accuse a bunch of Jews of running a concentration camp, though. I'll say that. And I've heard people complain about Israel cutting off electricity in Gaza and stuff. And I'm like, bruh, why would you attack the people controlling your electricity? What was your risk to take? And people are like, oh, they're so terrible. Don't they control all the food and all the water? Like Hamas can get all of these rockets and paratroop people in to kill them at a concert, but you think they can't get food and water to their people? Some of those people live in the lap of luxury. They get a lot of aid and other stuff. They don't take care of their people. They use them as meat shields. If you want to free Palestine, you should free them from Hamas. That's what the movement should be, not to support how they resist, as in kill Jews. Seriously. I'm gonna have to table this Harvard story until tomorrow. But before I let you go, I've got to show you this video. I talked to my sister about it yesterday a little bit, and she's like, "What did they say after that?" It's with Andrea Mitchell. Andrea Mitchell was talking to a mother who her children was kidnapped, and tried to ask a question that made it kind of seem like I don't know if she wanted to go into a equivalency sort of thing, but the mother shut her down. So it was a pretty incredible moment. So I wanted to share it all with you, and We'll wrap things up. Oh gosh, I didn't get to this Nancy Mace thing. I wanted to talk to you guys. We'll table that too.
Have the mother back on with us. We were going to ask you about what you were saying to your boys. You were trying to keep them calm. Tell us about that
Yeah, I was on the phone to them and then trying to calm them down, saying, you know, the military is going to get there and they're safe and they're in their home. This is what we always tell them. And then at approximately 8:30, they started hearing voices of the door breaking. They were with me on the phone and I asked them to be quiet, to stay quiet. They were in the safe room, which is a bedroom of the eldest, who's 16, as I said. And about 10 minutes later, I could hear people speaking in Arabic outside their door. And they broke in, and the last thing I heard was the youngest, who's 12, saying to them, "I'm too young, don't take me." And that was it. That was the last time I heard from them.
I am so sorry. We were all thinking about you. Have you heard anything from the government?
No, unfortunately not yet. Well, the army is now getting in touch with families, I know, and I'm keeping my hopes up that they're alive and well. I know that their father and his spouse were taken also, because we've seen one of the videos that Hamas put on. So we know that they're alive, and I'm hoping that they're with them. And as they took hundreds of children, babies, women, and elderly people, some of them from the place I live in, I'm hopeful that they're all together and that they have other people that they know around them to keep them safe and to give them a hug.
So that they're all together.
And I just bring them back home. Sorry?
I'm sure you want them to be with people they know so that they're not alone there. But what are your feelings about the attacks against Gaza right now? How can the government?
I must say that, look, you're looking for a symmetrical situation, and I must say it isn't. If you were dealing with a war who is between two countries, countries don't take children hostages. I'm sorry. It's against the laws of war. It's against humanity. It's against anything that we all believe in. Every time we had missiles shot at us, I used to say to my children that they should be sympathetic towards the children of Gaza because they suffer a lot more than they do. I'm not sure I still believe in it now. And I must say the only worry I have now from the bombings in Gaza is the fact that my children are there. I can't be sympathetic anymore. I can't be sympathetic to animal human beings. Well, they're not really human beings, who came into my house, broke everything, stole everything, took my children from their bedrooms and took them to the Gaza Strip. Israel never done that and will never do. So there is no symmetry. I'm sorry.
I think that's perfectly said. So I'm glad she said her piece. Like war, well, I can definitely think of wars and stuff where they came and they took boys and children and stuff, but it's pretty terrible. And then Hamas posted videos of them using the children they took to try to draw people outside of their house so they could kill them. So this stuff isn't hard to find. Hamas wants people to know. I mentioned yesterday, someone said, the Germans would hide what they were doing to the Jews, but the people, Hamas and stuff, they're proud of what they're doing. So they want people to know. And that's how they want to continue terrorizing the country, how they want to continue terrorizing the families, where they will upload stuff and send it to different families. I know I talked about a grandmother the other day, but there was a they did that to someone else as well. So I'm sure it's more than like probably 2 stories or whatever. It's I don't see a symmetrical sort of situation. I don't. And someone accused me of simping for Israel or whatever. I'm not too into foreign policy so much. I'm, not a neocon or whatnot. I'm just calling it as I sees it, guys. Just calling it as I sees it. So I pray for her children's safe return. But what a terrible thing that they took all these people apparently to defile them. And you don't know where they are, and they are going and doing the bombings and other stuff. So you really, I don't know how many people actually have hopes that they'll see their children again. Um anyway after being taken. But they could definitely be used as human shields because that's what Hamas does. By the way, Khalid Mashal, who's sorry if I said that wrong, the leader and founding member of Hamas, gave a speech, and he encouraged people to commit acts of terror. So going back to Dearborn and them saying Hamas aren't terrorists, he's calling for Muslims all around the world to initiate acts of terror this weekend, by the way. So hopefully people don't do that. They want, other Arab nations to um pitch in and help and um pressure Israel and pressure, I guess, other nations and stuff. But they're the ones who want acts of terror to happen to civilian populations. I don't. You can think no one's good in this situation for some reason, but don't tell me that. I don't think it's even. Sorry. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Yeah, tomorrow, hopefully won't be as heavy because I definitely want to talk about this Nancy Mace Scarlet Letter thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and look it up. So be up to date when I ream on her tomorrow. She's just kind of the worst. So we'll have hopefully I don't know, again, a less heavy day. But go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles and videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. Cost to stream, cost to run my website, all that stuff. So you guys can support in that way. I do really appreciate it. I also want to thank Brighter Michigan Pack. So I'm in their studio today, and I'm grateful for all the work that they do in the state of Michigan. Hopefully we can take it back in the 2024 election, and they are a part of many successes that we've seen and we've had. And so I'm grateful to be able to use this space. Check out some of my merchandise that I have available at blacktnews.com, and also some of my books. If you guys want to know where you can find all that stuff, just go to the website, go to the merchandise page, and there's a banner for my books and other stuff. So God bless you guys, and I'll catch you tomorrow.